things you go through and do and going anywhere.
The Truth with Gwen Azama-Edwards, every Thursday at 6:15 on Goliath Radio. Gwen Azama-Edwards, retired city clerk, former city commissioner, City of Daytona Beach. The Truth with Gwen Azama-Edwards on Goliath Radio.
Stan, you've been sitting much too long, much too long. Welcome, 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 welcome to Truth, a radio program designed with you in mind, a program whose sole purpose is to empower you, our listeners, for information leads to knowledge, and knowledge is, you got it, power. And as always, I want to empower you to take control of your life, those things that impact you, your family, and your community, as always, too. I want you to go to the website at www.gwen-truth.com. Trying to keep an eye on big. Go there so you can access all of those resource listings that will make you what? All powerful. Because you will get links to your municipalities, your county agencies, your state agencies, your federal agencies, and your advocacy groups. Also go there so you can chime in on the poll that we have going, and we have changed it. And we're asking you this, and I noticed there was something in the paper, News Journal, today as well, or this week, concerning the same thing. And the question has to do with, do you really care about all of those? That doesn't mean that you don't, think about it and all this kind of stuff, but are all of those scandals that are going on in direction and directed toward the White House, all of those scandals more important to you than the economy, jobs, health care, and all of the other stuff that you deal with on a day-to-day basis? So go to the website so you can chime in what you believe and what you feel in regards to that query. As has been stated, I'm Gwen Azama-Edwards, former city commissioner, retired city clerk, City of Daytona Beach, and president CEO of AE Enterprises, Inc., a consulting firm on politics and ethics. As always, we have a dynamite program for you tonight because we're going to talk about something that should be very, very important to all of you. Why? Because we're talking about senior services. We're talking about an age group that, from what we're told, super majority of the individuals who live in the state of Florida are a part of. I am one of those persons as well, a senior citizen. I was talking to someone today who said that her birthday is tomorrow. Hi, Carol, shout out to you. And she will be 66. And I said to her, next year I'll be 65. And I said, this is, I don't know if you agree, Doug, but this is the new middle age. Because one of the fastest age groups is, of course, in the 80s and beyond. So people are living longer. Shout out for that. Hey, who wants to have the opposite effect, right? We want to live longer. People are living longer, and we want to make sure that they live healthier as well. And there are services and programs available to help you do just that. So my guests tonight are Doug Beach, who is the Executive Director of the Council on Aging. We have Lisa Lewis, who is the VP for Community Care Services. That's a mouthful, Lisa. And we have Kathy Coates, who is the Marketing Director. And again, we're talking about a service that is, I believe it is in Volusia County. I know it's throughout Volusia County, but Volusia County is the only county right now, Doug? Okay. Right. But it is the premier senior service, collective senior service that we have in Volusia County. And how do I know that? Because I'm a past president of it, but I've also served on the board in that capacity and other capacities as well. And because, like so many of you who watch services that are provided to the community, to our residents, our seniors, our citizens, other citizens, I've watched this organization, I've watched it grow. Gail Campatera is the past executive director of the organization, and it is a phenomenal organization that provides phenomenal services. And I say that with no equivocation. And I know Big John's saying, all those big words, we don't want to do that. But the truth is the truth is the truth. And it is a great, great organization. It's a great operation. And they do such wonderful things. And you're going to get to hear about that and what you can do if you're interested in perhaps volunteering in the like. So I'm going to start with just a test to make sure everything's working as it should. But I'm going to start with Doug Beach, again, the Executive Director for the Council on Aging, to share with you. You know, Doug, I've come to a couple of your board meetings. I'm not on the board, but I am a volunteer on this advisory board for Elder Source. And in observing and listening, and there was a recent survey which kind of revealed that there are still a lot of people who don't know that the Council on Aging exists or the services it provides. And one of the reasons that I'm glad to have you here is that I think it's important that they know. Would you agree?
Well, they know the services, they don't know us.
Ah.
So, you know, we go out quite a bit and people will say, I'll ask the question, how many of you have heard of the Council on Aging? And if we get 50%, that's a good day.
Mm-hmm.
How many of you have heard of Meals on Wheels?
Everybody's
heard of Meals on Wheels.
Yes, yes, yes.
And we have been providing Meals on Wheels in Volusia County since the 1970s. So a great program, a great organization. The way it's set up across the state, there are about 52 organizations like ours that are designated by the state as lead agencies. We do everything from Meals on Wheels to respite programs to congregate meal programs to senior center programs. And by doing that, you know, we're trying to make sure the seniors can stay in the community as long as possible. Lucky enough here tonight to have Kathy Coates, who's our marketing director, with us, as you suggested, and Lisa Lewis, who is our vice president of programs. They're going to help me make sure that I'm correct. And need to give a shout out to my wife, who's listening to this screaming and blaming. When you said, you know, that we're aging, her joke in the house is that I need to die 10 years before her so she has at least 10 years apiece. So I hope she's joking. You never know.
And what is her first name?
Annette.
Annette. Shout out to Annette.
Yeah, we appreciate that. I'll get in trouble for this today, I'm quite sure. But as you suggested, Gail Compter is a long-time executive director of the Council on Aging. Gail was one of the top 2 or 3 agency directors in the state for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
Actually created a great base for me when I came here 3 years ago, and she's happy with the staff, happy with the programming, happy with the community. It's one of the friendliest communities that I've ever been in.
Oh, that's true.
And the other thing that we've dedicated ourselves is that we never cut a client off services. So, or a senior off services. We're very proud of that.
That's awesome. How is the Council on Aging funded?
Many different ways. We have 3 primary grant funding. We have the Older Americans Act, which is one of the Great Society programs created in the 1960s with Medicaid and Medicare. Great Society programs of the Kennedy and Johnson administration. We have general revenue programs which come from the state, community care for the elderly programs, which help seniors stay in their home for a longer period of time. And then we also get state, federal Medicaid funds, again, to keep seniors in their homes for a longer period of time. Although the state Medicaid funds will transition to HMO starting in April of 2014. Then we have a lot of private pay. To pull down the federal grants, we have to raise somewhere between $500,000 and $750,000 a year to pull down the federal and state grants. And then we do private pay services for folks that may not qualify for the grants but need our help to stay in their homes.
Now, do you still get $7 for every dollar, or what's that ratio?
It's pretty close to that. The match is usually about 80%. The federal government, state government will give us 80%, and we're somewhere between 15 and 20% that we need to match. So if we raise 15 cents, they'll give us 85.
So for every dollar someone donates to the Council on Aging, they're actually helping to draw in, that's the point I'm making, guys, you listeners, you're actually helping to draw in another $6 or $7 to come alongside that and work in the community to help seniors.
Right, and it's a great program, but what's so important about the match is that it gets the local community to buy into it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of the great things about Habitat for Humanity is you encourage people to work and help put in sweat equity so that they can own that home. Same thing with our programs. We get county input, county buy-in, and it just makes it a much better, much more viable program for a long period of time. We've been at this since 1967.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the things I tried to convince the city of when I was on the commission, and Gil went around doing our pony show to all the cities, et cetera, trying to get them to contribute dollars toward this program, because every dollar brings in more dollars, and because it allows that government to citizens to receive much needed services. And the more services that individuals need, the less in terms of problems or situations where they actually end up costing a community as opposed to contributing to the community.
Yes.
You know, that's the way I see it. Would you agree,
Yes,
Lisa?
Yes.
Well, one of the things that we want to go over tonight, when hopefully we'll catch people early in the program, is talk a little bit about sequestration.
Okay.
And then we want to thank Gail Limeran for his willingness to go out and help us with a challenge grant. So talk a little bit about what happened. Most of you out there know about sequestration. Sequestration was a agreement between the Obama administration and Congress that if they didn't solve the budget issues by March of 2014, or excuse me, 2013, then the across the board sequestration cuts would go in place. And it was supposed to be somewhere between a 3 and 4% cut, and it was supposed to be across the board. But it wasn't across the board for various reasons. We understand the reasons, and I don't want to get into the politics of all of it. But our Meals on Wheels program, because of sequestration, was cut 5.6%. Our Hunger Meal programs were cut 17%. So we're here doing what we think is best for the seniors to keep them in their homes for as long a period of time out of nursing homes. And all of a sudden, the federal government gives us a $120,000 cut. Now, we had a great Ritchie event, Glenn Connie Ritchie event, celebrating Betty Jane France and late Bill France this year, and we raised a record amount of money, about $150,000.
Wow.
A great event. And the Living Gifts Foundation, shortly before the event, donated $70,000 to us to make sure that nobody was cut off from those programs. But that's a one-time shot in the arm, and as a result of sequestration, we have every expectation that those cuts will be permanent. So hearing the reports in the newspaper and what happened at the Ritchie event, Gail Limeran stepped to the fore and said that if the Council on Aging can raise $100,000 or more, he'll match the first $100,000. Great citizen of Volusia County for a long time, done a lot of good things. Gave us $125,000 4 or 5 years ago to make sure the Holly Hill Senior Center stayed open.
Wonderful.
So he's
I remember,
yeah, 5-year grants of $5,000 a year. Just very civic-minded, very interested in seniors, and so we're out here, and we want it to be a grassroots effort, so we can get as many folks that will go ahead and send some money in, so we can match that $100,000.
So giving, for each dollar they give, they not only have a match that comes in of $6 or $7 or more, but they also get the additional dollar that comes from Gail Limeran, who, and that dollar actually brings in another $6 or $7. So everything that you do, you know, there are some people think, well, if I only give $1, oh, that's not enough. Well, gosh, look at this. You give $1, and look, you're looking at that dollar multiplying and bringing in, what, an additional almost $14? It's fantastic.
And so that's what we're doing. We want to thank Mayor Ritchie and Connie Ritchie for helping with the event. I want to thank Gail Limeran for his willingness to step to the plate. And as a result, if we can make this happen, one of the things we need to do is we need to raise the money by July 30th. So we're on a tight time frame that we're quite confident that we can do it. Well, you've been a community person for a long time. You know how to make that work.
And so that we tie this in at the same time you're making the plea, how would they contact you, and where would they mail money if they're interested?
Kathy?
We're just now putting all the details together. We had the call on Monday, so we've just had a couple of days to think about this. All contributions will be handled through the Council on Aging, so they should write out their check to Council on Aging. And in the memo field, you know, the little space down at the bottom, we want them to say for the Gail Limerand match, or for Meals on Wheels, or for meals programs. Just something that lets us know that that's exactly what those dollars are for. And, you know, you can find us, our addresses, you can go on our website at www.coavolusia.org and make a contribution. You can call us at the office, we'll take it over the phone. You can walk into the office and drop it off. I mean, just about any way you,
The phone number
in
is
shape or form.
253-4700.
Okay.
253-4700. 386-253-4700. And our address is Council on Aging, P.O. Box 671, Daytona Beach, Florida 32115. I'll go over that one more time. Council on Aging, P.O. Box 671, Daytona Beach, Florida 32115.
Or you can come into the office, and that is 160 North Beach Street in Daytona Beach, Florida.
Okay, wonderful.
And
So,
for those in DeLand, my wife's in DeLand, she can take her contribution to the Chamber of Commerce building. We have an office in the Chamber of Commerce building in DeLand for anybody on the west side of us.
wonderful.
We're going to be doing a lot of different activities to generate the funds. There'll be some direct mail to certain people. We'll be contacting members of the local chambers. You know, we're going to reach out to everybody. We are looking at possibly doing a raffle. We've got somebody who might want to do a poker night event. I mean, any way that anyone, if there's anyone that wants to get involved by a donation from a club or organization, if they want to take the money they would have spent on buying a meal out and send that in, you know, they're just about in any way that you can think of. We're going to be looking at all those opportunities, and so we'll have some fun with it at the same time as going about the serious business of meeting this grant challenge, which we totally intend to do.
And this is just a great way of people who really care about seniors. I know that with the Old Hall Good Samaritan Center, and I meant to mention this because they're trying to get flowers donated for their prayer garden and their campus. But I know that I made donations in the name of my mother to them. Of course, I serve on their board. But individuals can also, knowing that, you know, you have parents, you love your parents, make a contribution in the name of your parents to a service that they may benefit from, they may not. But for those who are benefiting, I remember the movie called Paying Forward, and that spoke so greatly of how we can help our family and meet their needs by helping others. Because to the extent we help others, others help us as well, right?
Takes
You
a
give and
village.
receive.
A great movie with a stupid ending. Why the little boy had to die, I have no idea.
Why'd you have to mention that?
Yeah.
Anyway, but it was the fact that his life was worth something because he had already put that into place and put it into play, and you know, that's what life is about. It's not about us, it's about what we can do for others, right?
And Lisa had a great idea, and she can tell you about it a little bit. She's one of the leaders in her church. And, well, I'll let you talk about it, the offertory.
We had talked about bingo in the church.
Yeah.
Okay. We had talked about having bingo in the church, and that didn't sit too well. We're trying to come up with ideas where the community as a whole can get involved to help us raise this money, because it could be your next door neighbor,
Right.
or you know, a family member. It takes a village to raise a child. So just think that senior is part of that village. So it's time for us to help that senior.
Absolutely. Those children grow up.
Yes.
And they age.
Yes.
And they also have needs. How many citizens were you saying that you serve through your Meals on Wheels program?
Well, not Meals on Wheels, but overall we have about 2,600 clients,
Mm.
and we have 2,300 people on the wait list.
Oh, wow.
And what's so discouraging to some point on many of these programs We haven't had a substantial increase in the Federal Older Americans Act program since 2002.
Mhm.
The State General Revenue Program, this is the first year we've had an increase, about 2.5% increase. This was the first year since 2000. And so what we're having is these dollars are being flat or growing very slowly, while the time, as you suggested, the 85-plus population is the
Mhm.
fastest growing age cohort in Florida, particularly, but across the United States.
Right.
And people ask us, well, why is that such an issue? Because people are healthier than they were 30 or 40 years ago. There are a couple things about the 85-plus population. Somewhere between 35 and 45%. So, what is that? 3 in 10 may
Mhm.
have some form of dementia.
Mm.
And the other thing we know about the 85-plus population is by that time you're slowing down a little bit. You're going to need some help to stay in your home.
Mhm.
Whether it be somebody to do chore work, lawn work, or things like that, or somebody to come in and help you with household chores from time to time. You're going to need some help to stay in your homes. And that's what our programs do. Our programs are designed to get people and allow them to age in place in their homes for as long as they can be there,
Mhm.
as long as it's safe. And when these dollars dry up, as a result, people will end up going into nursing homes, assisted living facilities. A lot of times that's where they need to be, but let's not do that prematurely. Let's
Right,
figure out
right.
ways to keep them at home as long as possible.
Yeah, because those that are actually healthy, who want to stay in familiar surroundings and are able to, with minimal assistance, do so, that is, when they've done surveys, that's what they say, they want to stay in their homes.
In the
Given the
community.
Yeah, yeah. I know my mom, as she got older and, she started to fall and she had the knee operations and the like, and her desire, even though she spent some time with one sister and spent some time with me as well, but her desire was always, until the day she died, to return to her home.
Yes. Yes.
That, again, that's what they're familiar with, that's what they really and truly, that's theirs, and that's what they want to do. And so, to the extent that people can assist by providing some funds to help in that regard, we really and truly should, and that's why I make donations in my mom's name, because that's my way of not only keeping her memory alive, but that's my way of giving back, and it's my way of saying to people who were there for her, in addition to us being there were others that were there.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, one of the issues we have, as you well know, as a former caregiver, I don't know how frail your mom was before she passed, but often what we find is that somewhere around 60% of caregivers died before their loved one.
Mm.
And so we have this whole series of programs that are aimed at the caregiver.
Mhm.
How do we keep the caregiver invigorated? How do we give them some breaks from the loved one?
Some
What can we
respite,
do there?
yeah.
And so we have respite programs in how many churches, Lisa?
And 5.
And 5 churches in Volusia County. And it's a partnership between us and the churches.
Mhm.
And, it's based upon a national model called the Brookdale model. And what it does is you can drop your loved one off. We have grant funding wait list. For those that can't wait, it costs about $50 a day. But you go in, you drop your loved one off. Circle activities include long and short-term memory activities, as well as band chair exercise activities. Then we break for lunch. Then they play bingo and dominoes
Yes.
after lunch. And it's, I think it's one of the best programs of its type in the state. And I've been around, seen a lot of things in the state. I'm really proud of what we do with our respite programs.
Oh, awesome, awesome. Now, you mentioned about people who are unable to do their lawns anymore and the like, and you have, with private pay services, you have handyman
Yes,
services and the like. Share with the listeners those services.
Well, all of our programs, our meals programs, our convert meals programs, our handyman program, which is often called chore, housekeeping programs, which we call homemaker on the grant side. All those programs can be fee for service. And one of the things we tell a lot of folks, I gave a speech on Saturday, and one of the things I tell them is that you can't wait on a waiting list for 6-8 months and expect your loved one to get better. You need to start these services. Go ahead and, depending on what your income is, get them started right away. If you have relatives, family, kids in other states, ask them to chip in $1 here or there. But the point is, get stabilized as quickly as possible and get on that wait list so that we can then start the services. And so that's what we're talking about. A lot of folks, we have a housekeeping program, usually starts with a deep clean, but we find that a lot of seniors, if you go into their homes, it's easy, and your mother may have been this way, I don't know, may have been part of the reason she fell, but there may have been slip rugs there that, 30 years ago were great, kind of fun as a kid to run as fast as you could and slide across the floor. But it doesn't work anymore. Get those, I went home 2 or 3 years ago, and my mom's 76, and we had all these rugs there, and I started throwing rugs away. And she was not happy with me, but I said, Mom, this is a great way to fall. And so we got rid of that. Sometimes clutter can be a problem, too cluttered, not places to walk through, so we'll take the clutter out. We'll do anything to make sure that those seniors can be stabilized in that home for as long as possible. There was a program down in Brevard County, and it was the EMTs were finding what they call frequent flyers to hospitals. So these people that were constantly getting injured, and it was costing the community a great deal of money to transport them to the hospital. Many of them were seniors. And so they created this state award, program that won a state award. But what they did was they went in and decluttered those homes, they cleaned up the homes, they did whatever they could, and they found out that their number of seniors that were going to the hospitals were dramatically reduced.
So they reduced the frequency of the flies to the hospital.
Save money for Medicaid, save money for Medicare.
Absolutely.
And it made sure that senior was safe. Interesting process.
Yes, really awesome. There are, and you guys utilize quite a few volunteers, right? How many do you utilize, and are there opportunities for people who would like to volunteer for Council on Aging?
Yes, we have over 300 volunteers that deliver the Meals on Wheels in a given week. Okay, and the meals go out and they're hot. But we also have volunteers throughout the agency from time to time, helping in different departments with our day-to-day activities.
Some of our volunteers are what we call adopt-a-route volunteers, and they're from the business community. They're police departments, they're companies that will adopt a day and a route and work as a team, which alleviates having to go every single week or having to go every single day. And that really is one of the areas where we would really like to have more volunteers, because that, when you have as many volunteers needs that we have, being able to split it up makes it better for everybody. And it's an easy way for a club, or organization, a church, a company to give back.
And shout out to my neighbor, Walter Riddell. Walter received a 20-year award for Meals on Wheels. He had a team of people, and as well as himself. And now Walter will be 94, I believe, on his birthday, which is, if it hasn't already occurred, it will be in another week or so. And Walter is still driving. He goes to the hospital sometimes, but Walter gives back through Meals on Wheels, and he loves that program. He hated to give it up, but it was probably time. But he has done that for 20 years, and there are people who come up with excuses as to why they can't do this, they can't do that. But here's Walter at almost 94 years old. He's been doing this for 20 years. That means that he started when he was in the 60s.
74.
74. Wow, that's right, in the 70s, which means that Walter did it when he was older. There's no reason why, middle-aged or older people cannot do this. And again, it's a way of giving back and helping out in the community. And as you said, this is a friendly community. I mean, people come together, work together, volunteer their time, and give back to individuals in need, and they do it without any remuneration, any money, any pay, whatever. But they do all of this to help, and this is one of the, in my opinion, and we found that with this county, because I've been in giving services and working with organizations for years, and what we find is that this is one of the most giving in sharing of their time, monies, efforts, etc. Community, and that's countywide, as you'll find anywhere in the state and possibly even the nation. So to all of you out there listening, I know you got some time, I know you got some money, etc. Give some of your time and your money to the Council on Aging and other organizations that we have in our community. And for those of you who are doing that, I just say, you know, shout out to all of you, because I know a lot of you are. Continue to do so, because as my husband loves to say, who's a pastor of a church, you know, it will pay off after a while, right? The situation though is that it actually pays off now, because you always feel better when you're giving back, when you're doing something for someone else.
Well, with reference to your point of how friendly Volusia County, my wife and I have been married for 29 years, and I've lived in 17 different places. So a lot of moving around, and when we came here, Larry Kelly, who was former mayor of Laguna Beach, reached out to me and my wife and made us feel at home very, very quickly. But one of the things that's very interesting about how all this comes about, we're one of the, we're in the minority of counties that provide a hot meal every day. And the only way we can provide a hot meal is with those volunteers. So you go to a lot of counties and they'll put in frozen meals 1 or 2 days a week, and you won't have that connection between that driver and that client every day. And why is that so important? Well, first of all, the hot meal is important, but what tends to be more important, or as important for a lot of these seniors, is that contact with that volunteer.
Right.
It could very well be the only person they see all day. On the other hand, it becomes a health checkup, because if that volunteer goes to that home and either no one's there or someone's there in distress, we can report that. And we've had a number of instances where our volunteers will go, someone's down or out or needs to get to the hospital, and we'll get the right services in there as quickly as possible to get them wherever they need to go.
And your volunteers talk about that too, that is
Absolutely.
really the most rewarding part of it for them, not just serving the meal, but the fact that many of the people they go, whose homes they go to, in apartments and the like, they enjoy having someone to see face to face to talk to.
We just completed the annual Big Wheels Deliver Meals campaign that we do, where local dignitaries, county, city, bankers, whoever, we had 48 people go out into the community, and one of those such stories was told. This one woman said, not only has Meals on Wheels provided me a hot meal every day, which I couldn't fix for myself, but she said, my Meals on Wheels volunteer saved my life. And she relayed the story that she had changed medication and had actually had a bad reaction to it.
Oh, wow.
And the Meals on Wheels volunteer knew she was there, knew she was waiting for a delivery, and when she didn't respond, he and his wife found a way to get into the house and found her and called EMT. Otherwise, she probably would not be here today. So she definitely believes, as you're saying, that it's very, very important, and that wellness check is a huge piece of comfort to those that aren't able to live here with their parents. You know, knowing that somebody's checking up on your mom or dad every day is really important.
Yes.
And I was just going to say, one of the things you mentioned is that you have several employers who allow their employees to take off and to do this.
Right.
And, you know, hats off to them.
That's a huge piece of it, you know, and like I said, when you split it up and share it, it becomes a lesser burden for everybody, and everyone gets that real good feeling, that warm fuzzy, so.
Right. And Lisa, you were going to say?
Yes, the volunteers become families to these seniors. You know, their family live at least 1,200 miles away. So with that daily contact, they become family. They know when they have a doctor's appointment, why they're not answering the doors. If a stranger's there, you know, they know a little more than family, because the family lives so far away. You know, so it's all good.
And that's a good transition into our senior center program. A buddy of mine was giving a speech one time, and they asked him why in the world he became involved with senior activities. And he said that when he was in junior high, he went over to his grandmother's apartment, and his grandfather just passed. And he said, "Grandma, why is your TV so loud?" And she said, because that's the only human voices I hear all day.
Oh,
And
wow.
so what happened is
Oh, that
she
just
became-
breaks my heart.
She became a volunteer at a senior center.
Ah.
Later, a client at that senior center. She had a long and happy and productive life thereafter for 20, 30 years.
Mhm.
And what we want to stress is the importance of senior centers. And it doesn't have to be a senior center. It can be a church. It can be
Mhm.
a community center. It can be a school. But there's some place that our seniors need to get out of the house where they can socialize
Mhm.
with other folks. There was a study done by Brigham Young University several years ago, and they estimate that social isolation is as difficult on a senior's health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
Wow.
So get up, get active. Maybe it's through Skype. You know, you're Skyping today. Maybe it's through computer activities.
Mhm.
But figure out a way that you can connect with people on a daily basis, and you'll have a happier life.
Absolutely, absolutely. Have you found many churches that are willing and actually interested? You said there are a few, there are 5 now, where you have your Meals on Wheels program.
It's not the Meals on Wheels program, it's the respite
Respite.
program.
The respite program, right, yes.
They're willing, and they're willing to work with us and do what they can for the community, because
Mhm.
they realize that this is a needed service.
Not only that, I would think for a lot of them, a great majority of their congregation also fits into this age group.
Right.
Well,
I believe in New Smyrna Beach, one of the routes is manned by one of the churches.
Mm.
I'm trying to remember the name of the church, but I don't recall it, but.
well, but you know, it's interesting. You go through that phase of life where you go to church with your parents and for a long period of time, and then you get a little in college ages and you don't go quite as regularly as you should. Then you have kids and you go regularly again, and the kids' activities catch up with you, and then you drop out a little bit. And you know, my wife and I are empty nesters, and we find ourselves going back to church again. And it's always comforting to go to church and see a lot of friends. And the point is that it's friendly. You're welcome, and whether it be a church, a synagogue, a community center, find some place where you feel at
Absolutely.
home and get out of the house.
Now, you were going to say, well, you've done that, but there's also a relationship, a contractual relationship that you guys now have with Halifax Health.
Yes, we have a home health agency, a Medicare home health agency, a skilled home health agency that we had run for 6 or 7 years. And there were some changes in the federal law that impacted us rather negatively. And so we reached out to Halifax Health, and they bought 50% of that organization. They are the managing partner right now, and it is a skilled, and what do I mean by skilled? They'll provide nursing services, physical therapy services, occupational therapy services, speech therapy services. They'll do baths and things like that to keep that senior in their homes and under Medicare for as long as possible. They also do some private pay, but most of it is Medicare right now. We just have a wonderful relationship with Halifax Health. Jeff Fiesel was the MC at the recent Richie event. Eric Pebburn and Kent Bailey. Kent Bailey is the controller over there. He's on our board. Finance director, and we just have had a wonderful relationship with them, and they've done a lot of great things for the Council on Aging. We can't say enough good things about Halifax Health.
Now, in terms of that relationship, and one of the things you and I talked about too is that relationship helps you to provide, I guess, an unmet need that was being met by you, but due to circumstances, they now fill that void. You've got your Meals on Wheels program, you've got your private pay, you've got the other services that will be available through handyman services or house cleaning services and the like. What are some other areas where you're finding that there's a need to be met? Because I know at one time you guys were doing a guardianship program. I know you don't
We
really.
still have the guardianship.
Oh, do
program.
you?
Yeah. Go ahead,
Yes.
Lisa.
Yes, we still have we are the public guardian of Volusia County,
Oh, wow, okay.
and we do have some private also.
Mary Lou McKeon. Mary Lou's been with us for a long period of time. She's recognized by the county courts as the guardian for those folks in Volusia County. We get about $130,000 a year from the courts to provide that program. And what she uses those monies for is indigent people. Guardianship is an interesting process because typically Mary Lou will get people when they're still savvy enough that they're paying their own bills, and we may very well get the durable power of attorney and things like that, but as they age and become more needy, she'll take over more and more responsibilities, and for many of them, towards the end of life, she could be in complete control of their finances and their situation.
And it's not necessarily someone who has no living relative. These are people that
Who has family.
yeah.
They have family.
And the family just as well. Somebody else kind of
Right.
took care of.
Sometimes
They might be out of the state or something like that. Just not close by.
Right. Sometimes it's good to let someone else step in to handle things,
Mhm.
and you still come and visit, and you still actively involved in the situation, but somebody else is handling the tough part.
And you know, you had Mel Stack as one of the folks. Mary Lou's had partnerships with Mel for a long time on a lot of their clients. Just a great program for a lot of people.
And you said someone who is low income or indigent.
Yeah. Yes.
Is that the major qualification?
Well, they have to go in front of a board to determine whether or not they need the guardianship. Because what happened is you having your rights taken away from you. So that is something that's very important. So we have to go in front of a board of your peers, and that determination is made at that time.
And it's tied to some court action
Yes.
as well.
Yes, it's driven by judges.
I know when it started that, you know, it was on rocky ground actually because of the financing and the like, so it's good to hear that you guys actually still receive the funds for it and you still are administering that program. Because who better to trust than,
Actually,
you know.
we just got a grant from the state to expand into Flagler County.
oh, wow.
So we have some money for awards in Flagler County as well. We don't do much business up in Flagler County in any other arena, but we had this money. They didn't have a public guardian, and thought that would be what's best for the citizens in Flagler.
And let me ask you, how is this initiated? I know your person who handles that isn't here. Is it the person or the person's family that can initiate it, or is it usually some agency decides and that the person needs care and?
I think it's a little of all of above. The person themselves can contact our agency. The judge sometimes get involved and they contact us and say, we want you to represent this person and become their guardian. Or it can be a family member who live out of state and cannot handle the responsibility and think that it's best for us, because we've been doing it for a while, to step in and take control.
Okay. And again, if they are desirous of getting more information and the like in regards to that, they can go to your website, right?
Right, or they can call the Council on Aging at 386-253-4700 and ask to speak to Mary Lou McKinney.
Or just say the Guardian Program. McKeon. Yeah.
I can never quite understand what you're saying. I'm D-land.
I'm from over that way, Orange City, so I don't have a problem understanding what you're saying.
I tease Lisa a little bit sometimes, and she puts it right back to me with my Midwest accent.
I'm sure. But it's important to know, though, that for those people who are desirous and they think they might have a need for the guardianship program, or they might have a need for Meals on Wheels, they'd like their family member to be signed up for that, or they're interested in paying for themselves, that what they need to do is to contact your office and get more information on it and find out really and truly if that's something that they either would qualify for, or if not, that the private pay portion of it. I do need to say that you're listening to Truth with Gwen Azama-Edwards. My guests are from the Council on Aging of Volusia County, and they do some guardianship services in Flagler as well. And this is WLE 1380 AM on your radio dial. This is also the Big 1380 AM, and it's also Goliath Radio. So, you know, we go by many names, but we're still, you know, this is still true. That one name. But again, it's 1380 AM on your radio dial. And you can also, again, access us through www.gwen-truth.com. And as Council on Aging, as they have been sharing, that there's a plethora of services that are available. I don't know why I'm throwing out all these big words tonight.
Big
But there are a
John's
lot
left.
of-
Big
Yeah.
John's left the building.
But there's a lot of services. There are a lot of services that are available through Council on Aging for seniors who are in need, those who feel that they're getting to the point where they may have a need. What you need to do is just contact Council on Aging and talk to them. You know, they're good people and they're courteous and they're kind, and they will listen to your issues, your concerns, and they will let you know what it is that you will qualify for, or costs associated if you or your family member wants to do private pay. And I know there are times when there are adults who have senior members of their family, and they're in another state or at a distance, but they want to make sure that their family members are eating properly. They're getting that hot meals a day. They're getting the services that they need. Their house is being taken care of. The lawn is being taken care of. And what people need to know is that with those private pay services and the like, you guys are doing background checks and the like, so
Right.
you're making
Yeah.
sure that these are people that are trustworthy.
All of our,
See,
we're licensed bonded, and every one of our clients, not clients, every one of our employees have been criminally background checked. And that's a state law that they have to go through a criminal background check. We do both the local and state background check as well as the FBI federal
Mhm.
background check. So it's a place where you won't get scammed, and people can feel confident that what they're getting from the Council on Aging is a valuable service from people who know what they're doing. But I'd like to switch gears one more time, just a little bit.
Okay.
And, what we've been talking here is mostly about the poor and frail.
Mm-hmm.
But we want people to understand that if you go to one of our senior centers, it's not about the poor and frail. They're going to be out there dancing. There's going to be people who are going to do, there's exercise programs, there's computer programs. A lot of people play cards, pool. Everything's going on in those senior centers that would keep
Legitimate.
Yes,
Yeah.
legitimate things. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But it just keeps people connected. And, we have great partnerships with most of the cities in Volusia County. They give us space and help us with the activities, and I can't be prouder of what we do in those senior centers and what we do to ensure that people stay healthy as long as possible.
I know my mom, when she was 80, she took a computer class through you guys, and she, it was a basic course, and she took that, and she, we set up with a computer and everything. Of course, after a few months, after all the spam stuff came and all that kind of stuff, and I was sitting here or something almost every day. She said, oh, let me get back on the phone. This is too much. But she did learn, and she was able to, whenever I would talk to her about computers, we could communicate, So there are some great services that are there for people who really want to stay in the mix, to continue to socialize and be involved with other people.
Stay active.
Yes, it's a great place to go and to meet and to continue social activities and the like.
But I will tell the younger folks out there that if they go to one of the senior centers during bridge time, they better be quiet.
But you can go during bingo and have a great time.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm sure, as you shared one of the stories that someone shared about what they get out of and how their life was saved through Meals on Wheels program, but I'm sure there are any number of stories that you guys hear every day from individuals who volunteer, even from staff people who've had the opportunity of working with someone who was kind of at their wit's end. I think one of the things that many of us don't understand until you sometimes reach that age, and even if it's your parents, you don't fully understand the fact that these are individuals who, for all of their lives, they've pretty much been independent. They've taken care of themselves, or they've taken care of a spouse. Their children, have pretty much left the nest, so to speak, and so they've spent a lot of years taking care of themselves. They've spent a lot of years really doing the things that we want every American to do. Work hard, you know, earn their way, they retire, and then have some kind of peace, you know, in their lives, and security in terms of not having to worry about where their next meal is coming from, or worry about you know, having to make a decision between the medicine or the food and all the other things that so many seniors in truth end up dealing with. And this agency, Council on Aging, you guys are really able to provide that, and you know, many times we refer to it as a safety net, but you do provide that to so many people in our community.
Yes.
And as you're saying, there's a waiting list.
Yes.
There are others who need similar services, and it's, you know, there's so many people who talk about, oh, you know, we're just giving handouts, this, that, and the other, but these people have earned this, in my opinion. Were they able to do without it? I'm sure they would, because that's the way back then you were raised, you know. Whatever you could do to take care of yourself, you did. But we don't want them to be at a point in their lives where they have a need and that need goes unmet. I remember later used to be House of Representatives, now she's on the county council, Joyce Cusack, and she was quoting, I think it was the president who said this, that a nation is judged by the way they treat their young and their old.
Right.
And we will be judged that way as human beings and as Americans.
That quote was derived from something that Hubert Humphrey said back
Okay.
in the 60s. And what Hubert said is that Hubert Humphrey said, and, you know your age if you remember Hubert Humphrey.
I do.
He said
I can picture him now, actually.
He was a firebrand, wasn't he? Yeah. He said a society will be judged by how they treat those at the beginning of life, how they treat those in the shadows of life, and how they treat those at the end of life. And clearly what we do at the Council on Aging, I think, is phenomenal for those at the end of life. But we need to always stress that if you look at the population throughout the state of Florida, less than 5% of seniors are in institutional care. 90% of seniors are well olders. So they're out there like you and me, actually spending more money than most of us spend.
Absolutely.
And, you know, often we hear these things on the radio or TV that, you know, it's not the best thing. We should look at incorporating younger people in more and more things that we do. But seniors are great. They spend money, and they're very, very good for every community throughout Florida.
And they vote.
Yes, absolutely. They vote, and I can remember Gail sharing this, and I think I've heard you say it as well, that the floor, the economic floor foundation that we have for this county is really based on the income, guaranteed income that the seniors have in terms of their pensions, in terms of Medicare and other funds they have going on, but again, it's also the pensions that they have, and that's what forms the financial foundation for our area, because with a lot of other people, you know, that salary could be here today and gone tomorrow.
And Big has the exact statistics on it, but it's phenomenal.
Yes,
what
yes.
seniors contribute to Volusia County, contribute to the state of Florida. You know, the state of Florida for a long time had many programs that would encourage seniors to migrate down here, and in the last 5 or 10 years, Alabama, Georgia, places like that have gotten into the fray as well, but Florida's still a place.
Absolutely, and even during the times when we were almost at a standstill of the number of people coming into the state, leaving the state. I think we still had a good 1,000 or so per day or something like that, where people were still coming, and they're coming even more now.
Well, Hank Fishkind did I apologize to everybody out there, I'm an economist and I'm trying to get away from it, but Hank Fishkind did a study back in 1999, and he said that the retirement industry, next to tourism, was the #2 industry in the state of Florida. Seniors give roughly $2,000 to $3,000 more in taxes than they cost, and as Lisa said, seniors vote. In the last gubernatorial election, seniors were 31% of the registered voters, so 3 in 10 of the registered voters, but nearly half of the people who voted. So it's a strong cohort.
Absolutely.
In Florida for a long period of time.
Absolutely, and we should definitely take care of meeting their needs. Not just because they vote, but because it's the right thing to do.
You know, and growing up, there was a senior in your life that helped you along the way. So this is your time to give back to that senior to help them when they needed the most.
Absolutely, and I can tell you when I was growing up, I didn't spend my time around young people. I spent my time around the elder
It's
people
knowledge.
because, yeah, they had so much great wisdom,
Yes.
and you know, there were things that they could tell you and share with you, and you listened and you respected. You know.
I grew up on a farm, and you always knew on the weekend that if you got to work with Grandpa, that he was going to nurture you. If you did something wrong, he was going to show you how to do it, help you out, this, that, and the other. Whereas you had to work that weekend with Dad, he was going to chew on you. So Grandpa was the place to go.
Ah, goodness. Now, in terms of the things that are going on, are there other, I know there's we want to talk again about the fundraiser, the match thing that's coming up, but you said there's some other things as well, and I know one of the things that people should remember is the Meals on Wheels, the walk that you guys have once a year. You've been doing that for a few years, and I know that is passed now.
Right, this year was our 17th year for the annual Meals on Wheels walk. And that walk is now, we hold it in 3 different locations on 2 days. So we are here, there, and everywhere. We, again, rely strongly on volunteer support. We do one down in the New Smyrna area, one in West Volusia, and one here in Daytona Beach. And that has always been a tremendous opportunity for local businesses to get involved, and we've had strong sponsorship and support of that. You know, this year the Ritchie event drew an even different, larger crowd of sponsors because of the fact that we were honoring, you know, Betty Jane France. She, you know, the France family has been such a vital part of this community that it gave a true shot in the arm to Council on Aging, and you know, that was how we were able to meet the immediate need for those folks that are currently on Meals on Wheels. But the stuff that we'll continue to do is so that we can bring those folks that are still on the waiting list in, and that make sure that the folks that are on the list now will have services beyond the end of this year. As Doug said, we are not expecting the federal budget cuts to go, you know, to be repaid or for that to go back up or to continue next year. We have to learn how to live with this, and so we're going to reach out to our community, and if everyone gives a little, we'll have a lot.
And that's why the Limerick dollars are so essential for him to dedicate a matching grant, a challenge grant of $100,000. Actually guarantees everybody on programs right now will stay on programs, and we'll be able to provide that level of service for a year or 2 to come. We're very pleased with that.
And you're saying information will be forthcoming, but again, if individuals want to go ahead and give that dollar, as I mentioned, you give the dollar and 6 or 7 others come in to match it, but you give that another dollar, you know, give $2, and you not only get that other dollar from the Limerick match contribution, but with that dollar it brings in another $6 or $7. So, you know, pretty soon we're talking real money.
$1 becomes 15.
Hey!
Yes.
Now, where can you get that kind of bargain? I don't know of any.
That's a great investment.
Yes, it is. It is. And isn't that what it's about too? We're investing in our community.
Yes.
We're investing in to meet the needs of our senior citizens. We're investing to keep this community a quality community, not just for us, but for the seniors who have really paid their dues.
The backbone of the community.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And we need the individuals, we need the churches, we need businesses, we need everyone to just get on board and not only help through contributions, but help with your volunteer time and help in any way and every way you can. Just think of Mama, you know, or think of Daddy. I tell you, when you think of them, you can't help but want to help seniors and help the elderly in our community. Who have you know, as you said, they're the backbone of our community. They've paid the price,
Yes.
you know, to live a quality life in their last days, and we can help, you know, help ensure that. through what we do and what we're able to do through Council on Aging. And I tell you, it's a great feeling. It's just a great, great feeling. It's like that Good Samaritan, you know. It's just a great feeling to know that you're helping others. And I can remember a quote too, that in terms of the dollars that you guys receive, your administrative fee of what you keep off the top is still very low,
Yeah,
isn't
we're
it?
about 10-12%. So
Oh
very low
gosh,
compared to most
very,
people.
very low.
Yeah.
That's the percentage of what they receive that goes toward their operations, you know, paying for staff and the like, and the rest of that is going toward providing services to seniors and those in the who are in the elderly community. So that is awesome. I mean, you know, you guys are like the like you say, people know about Meals on Wheels, but they don't necessarily know Council on Aging. For our county, the premier senior organization that's a coalition of services for our seniors is the Council on Aging. So all of you guys need to know that. And let's just share once more the website and phone number or contact information, and because we want to make sure that everyone just follows through it and gets with you all.
Well, as Lisa said, we're at 160 North Beach Street in Daytona Beach. So if anybody wants to drop by, you have to come to the back. To come to the back and knock on the door, or come in, and we'd love to see anybody. If you want to contact us through the mail, our mailing address is Council on Aging, P.O. Box 671, Daytona Beach 32115. And if you want to call us at 253-4700.
And the website is coavolusia.org. So go there, and there's all kinds of connections, information, education. We've got somebody in the office right now that's saying this is our responsibility to advocate, educate, and donate. So that's what we want you to remember.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Well, this has just been a real treat to share this information with all of our listeners, to remind them of this great, great organization, Council on Aging, and the opportunity that you guys have, listeners, to really help out. And I hope that you will follow through as an individual, as a church, as a community, as a workplace, a work site, you know, high organization, whatever you can do to help. During these times when, you know, there are those out there who say, we don't want federal government helping. Well, if they don't help, then that means you need to step up. And that's happened with Glenn and Connie Richard dinner, at that dinner, where people not only stepped up, but they went way above and beyond what they've done in the past. And this is the time for everyone else to do the same. So to all of our listeners, we want you to just do what you can to help, again, Council on Aging. Well, it's been great. Again, you've been listening to Truth with Gwen Azama-Edwards. My guests are Lisa Lewis, VP, Community Care; Doug Beach, Executive Director, Council on Aging, and Lisa's Council on Aging. They're all Council on Aging. And then Kathy Coase, who is the Marketing Director for Council on Aging. And it's been a treat having you guys here. Again, guys, be sure to get with them. Give them a call, drop by, whatever you can do to help with the match and the funding that is needed to help our seniors have a great quality of life. Again, be sure to listen to us every Thursday starting at 6:15 once I boot the big guy out of the chair.
And thank you, Gwen, for what you do. We really appreciate you as well.
Oh, well, I thank you so much. And it's just a real treat giving back and sharing, you know, and helping in whatever way that we can. So this is a treat for me as well. And whatever I do for seniors, it's like I'm just continuing to do for my mom, you know. So it's just a treat for me and a joy for me. But guys, remember, every Thursday, 6:15, and you know, as we continually say as well, you need to stay informed, you need to be empowered, you need to stand tall for that which is right and truthful. Again, do this, Council on Aging, because it's the right thing to do. Again, go to the website at www.gwen-truth.com. Until next time, hey, stand strong and do what you can to help others. God bless, and we'll see you next Thursday.
Gwen Azama-Edwards, exclusively every Thursday night on WELE 1380 Radio, Wilmington Beach, Florida.
He just want a company, and a company. Make sure I get all of you guys close up here.